Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 171 and we have a good one for you today. Today's fish has been listed by multiple websites as the most beautiful fish in the ocean. I don't think so, but it is definitely strikingly beautiful. Today's fish that we're going to be talking about is bam, the queen angelfish. As you can probably see, I have a baby that's decided to get on the chair behind me and look out the window. I can't control her right now, so we're just might have to deal with some flashes there. In fact, I didn't even know I was gonna be able to do this video today because she was not feeling great. She had to go to the doctor today. But regardless, let's get into this. Now, the queen angelfish, or scientific name Holocanthus ciliaris. Again, that's Holocanthus ciliaris. It is part of the family Pomacanthidae, which is the family of marine angelfish. All the marine angelfish are strikingly beautiful fish. We've actually talked about one before, which was the emperor angelfish. So, step down from well, I don't want to say step down, but another royal type angelfish, the queen angelfish, is what I decided today. Now, this fish is native to the western Atlantic Ocean. It is very prevalent in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean, but it does extend all the way down the coastline of South America to Brazil. And these fish are found at depths of 0 to 70 meters, which is 230 feet. However, this is a benthic fish, and I wanted to explain something. We've talked a lot about marine fish and their depths and everything, and it's important to note that benthic or coral fish, when I say that they're found at 0 to 230 feet or 0 to 70 meters, when I say 0, they're actually along the shorelines. You're not going to find these in the mid column of water above 70 feet or 200 feet of water, so they're following the shoreline as it gets deeper, as it leaves the shore. Most of the time when I talk about fish when they're found at the depths and they're a coral fish, they're following that same trend. 0 is like the very shallow reefs, 230 or 70 meters, that's the deeper reefs, but they can be found in those depths. So I just wanted to kind of explain that. Now, as you kind of guessed, this is a coral reef fish, but more specifically, they actually prefer soft corals, which are going to be the sea whips and the sea fans. I'm sure you've seen plenty of pictures of those types of deals. They're one of the more striking corals out there, but that's where you're going to find these fish, heavily associated with those soft corals. Now, this is a medium-sized fish. I consider it a medium-sized fish. It is 45 centimeters long, which is about 18 inches. So 1.5 feet, that's not a small fish, don't get me wrong. But in terms of oceanic fish, that's realistically going to be more of the medium fish. And this fish does actually have some weight behind it. It weighs about 1.6 kilograms, which is about 3.5 pounds. So it's got some weight to it. It has never been considered really a food source for human consumption, but other animals do enjoy eating them. There have been instances where the queen angelfish has been consumed by humans, and it has led to ciguatera poisoning, so I wouldn't suggest eating these fish. Now, like most angelfish, it has this very kind of broad, flattened body, very oval shaped, with this, would you call this triangular? It's almost got this convex into it, but some people say that it's triangular. I mean, a lot of this fish does look triangular to me. So you got this kind of triangular point on the dorsal, on the anal fin, and then on points of the caudal fin. But maybe triangular is not the best word. It does have a smaller snout than a lot of other angelfish. You can kind of see here. They do kind of have these bluish lips here, and they do vary in color by a lot. But generally, you're going to have these kind of yellow tipped blue-green scales. So those are like the tips of the scales. Those are usually what you're seeing. This is a good example of like the yellow on the tips. And then this one is, you can still see that there is yellow on the tips. But they usually have these bright blue lips. The dorsal and anal fin are outlined in that kind of bright blue coloration. It's a very striking fish. I should also mention that the juveniles have these very bright blue stripes there. I did want to mention that the mouth actually has sort of like a bristle-like teeth. I should also mention that both the dorsal and the anal fin have spines, and very obviously extend way past the body. Their fins are very, very visually striking. But something that you probably notice in all three of these pictures is this right here. Queen angelfish are kind of differentiated by a lot of other angelfish by having this eye spot right here outlined in blue, or as we've called it before, and as an eye spot, an ocelli, or it might be an ocellus. I think it's an ocellus when it's singular. But they have this blue-green spot, and someone, when they were naming it, was like, hey, that is like a crown because it's on the forehead. That's where it got its name, the queen angelfish. I should also mention, if you've been paying attention, you see these spines right here. That is actually a characteristic of the Pomacanthidae, the marine angelfish. They all have these spines right here. Sometimes they're extremely prevalent, like this bottom one, and then you'll have smaller spines. You can see here you got smaller spines than this really thick one right there. Oop. Then this one probably has some smaller spines, but that one big spine is almost always there, and that's on the opercle bone right on the back. And that seems to be a characteristic, probably some sort of defense mechanism. Probably not a good defense mechanism because it doesn't exactly stick out to poke anything. So I'm not entirely sure, but that is a characteristic of them. Now, in terms of their sort of ecology, male angelfish have a territory, usually with a harem of 2 to 4 females. And like many other fish that we've talked about on the channel, they are actually a protogynous hermaphrodite, meaning that the largest female becomes a male. So if the male should die in the harem, the largest female becomes the male, and that's where it goes. And that's actually fairly more common in marine fish than a lot of other people would kind of think. And something interesting to note about this fish that I saw is that it's generally assumed that they spawn year-round and really love to spawn around the full moon. But they're always spawning, and how they spawn, we've talked about this before. They spawn by swimming up to the surface, then releasing their eggs and sperm, and then go back down. And when fish do that, the eggs are actually pelagic, and they remain suspended until they hatch. And then I believe the larval stage, they actually stay suspended with the yolk sac as well, and then they come back down into the reefs and sort of settle out. But and we'll get into the feeding in a little bit. So that's the interesting fact on the video. Now, they're captured primarily for the aquarium trade. These fish can be expensive, around $175 to $200. So they can be a little bit up there in price, as most angelfish can be. But that seems to be where these fish are actually sort of collected. They're not collected for realistically any other purpose, but they are collected heavily. In Brazil, it's actually the most common marine fish sold abroad. Well over 50,000 fish sold in every year, I think, from 1995 to 2000. However, 2010, IUCN said that this fish, listed this fish as a species of least concern, meaning that even with this large amount of aquarium collections, the species seems to be very secure, which I would attribute to the fact that they spawn year-round, and I believe I saw somewhere that the female fish can release somewhere between 50 to 75,000 eggs. But now for the interesting fact that we're going to end the video on, it's actually on the diet of these fish. These fish are omnivorous fish and are pretty much that their entire life cycle. So when the juveniles come down and settle onto the coral reefs, they actually set they actually set up cleaner stations. We've talked about the cleaner wrasse and the fake cleaner wrasse. These the juveniles of this fish species set up those cleaner stations just like those, and they'll go and they'll actually eat the ectoparasites off other larger fish, and that's how they actually get their nutrition. But then they become an adult, and that's where things get really interesting to me. They are extremely non-selective, other than it has to be small. But they do eat a lot of tunicates, jellyfish, plankton, a lot of algae, but they actually eat a lot of corals and sponges as well. And that's the interesting thing about it. It's determined that somewhere between 68 to 90% of a mature angelfish, queen angelfish's diet is actually sponges, which that's the concern for me, because if people gather a wild queen angelfish, they're going to be heavily adapted to eating those sponges. And I did see many spots on the internet saying that if they're caught as juveniles, they actually take to commercially produced marine food much easier than adults do. So if you are getting in the aquarium, just try and get one that was caught as a juvenile, or get a juvenile. If you're getting an adult, just be aware you're probably going to have some issues, because they are going to really be looking for sponges. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you do. I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If you'd like to support the channel, please click the link down below. It is by no means expected, but very much appreciated. Regardless, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, and peace.